What's going on, Instagram? Happy Sunday morning. I just wanted to hop on and give some context to the post I just uploaded. I'm talking about exogenous ketones and been learning a lot over the years of what exogenous ketones are, what they aren't, how they help, how they don't help, despite some ways that people think they do, and the ins and the outs of them, really. And so, simply put, the post I did summed it up pretty well. And from my understanding from Keto Mastery, Ketogenic Bible, hanging out with Dr. Ryan Lowry and Jacob Wilson, and really learning from all the other thought leaders and experts that speak about keto and ketones, is ketones can be looked at two ways: energy molecules and signaling molecules. So all the things that you hear about, ketones, ketosis, ketogenic diets, all these things, all the benefits that come from it are coming from, I'm back. But ketones, they help signal your genetic makeup, if you will, like your genes to express themselves one way or another. And so on the signaling aspect, again, there's two ways to look at ketones: energy and signaling molecules. So in the signaling aspect, they actually are kind of like these little biological hackers that go in and reprogram your genes in a certain way to express themselves one way or another. And when we're looking at ketones, they help our genes express themselves in our favor. So things like anti-inflammation, internal antioxidant production, and all these other things to do with energy, looking deeper into the mitochondria of the cells, which make our energy. And then on the other side of the things, like I mentioned, energy molecules. So they're superior energy molecules than glucose. So we eat carbohydrates, it breaks down to glucose, which is our blood sugar. And then the mitochondria use the oxygen and the energy that's being provided to make ATP, which is our body's natural energy currency. It's not just calories. Calories are important, but our body runs off of ATP. So if you don't know what ATP is, go look it up. It's really fascinating, really complex. But ketones are right. Yeah, Brian knows about ketones. I think he's out, actually. But what's really cool is they go and they help the dysfunctional pathway of creating energy in the mitochondria that happens over time from stress, mental stress, physical stress. And a lot of that stress is coming from the way we eat today in society, whether you're in America or not. This new way of eating is really high carb. It's not even processed food anymore. It's ultra processed food, which is really sad. But all these things that we're consuming, the amounts of sugar that's raising our blood sugar chronically, all that's damaging our mitochondria. And over time, that's when complications happen. We're all familiar with diabetes or insulin resistance. That's one of the first things that starts to become damaged, is a signal from insulin to put energy, aka glucose, into the cell. What's really cool about ketones, they use a whole different pathway, a whole different tunnel or bridge or highway, whatever analogy works for you, to get the energy from the bloodstream into the cell. So they actually go around that dysfunction, and then they can provide the mitochondria and the cell and our body, our brain, with energy. And what's interesting is a natural consequence of making energy in our cells is a thing called free radicals. We've all heard of them. They're actually called reactive oxygen species, which is a byproduct of making energy from metabolism. So our mitochondria use oxygen in food and makes energy, and at the same time, it puts off these free radicals. Over time, if that doesn't get checked, and that creates an abundance, they can start leaking out of the mitochondria into the cell, and that's when they start bouncing around like these little pinballs, stealing electrons and damaging cells even more. And over time, that's where complications like diabetes and heart disease and brain fog, headaches, and all these things come. It's from this dysfunctional energy pathway and these internal offenders that are hurting our cells. So ketones, whether you're consuming them from exogenous ketones, like the post I did today sharing about Prove It's bioidentical ketones, or you're making them endogenously, internally, from your, the way you're choosing to eat, which is where ketogenic diet comes in. You're having these little motivational speaker hackers, helping you in your favor, and it's really fascinating. So I encourage you guys to go check out that post. I did my best to kind of summarize it into a quick, read, if you will. But if you have any questions, just comment on the post, DM me, reach out. I'd love to help. But just really fascinated by this topic because there's a lot of misinformation with marketing and people trying to sell you things and sell you these concepts and ideas of these little shortcuts. And at the end of the day, it's not about shortcuts. It's about what's happening internally. and that can speed up our process towards our goals, or that can hurt us. If we want to become high performers, we want to have high health, all these things, we got to look at the long run. What's going to help us in the long run? It may suck right now, or it may be helpful right now, but we got to look at the long game. We're playing chess, not checkers. And so when you're looking at things that are kind of giving you these too good to be true scenarios, it usually is, but with exogenous ketones, it's tricky because there's a lot of quick benefits that come from it, but also you got to optimize the way you're living, the way you're eating, you're thinking, you're moving, because it's just going to maximize the benefits of consuming exogenous ketones. So if you're doing what I like to do, follow a ketogenic lifestyle, you're making them in your liver and you're consuming them. You got this cycle, this lifestyle, this 24-hour system happening. So it's really amazing. But if you guys have questions, reach out. I'd love to help, and let me know what I can do to serve you guys better. Hope you guys have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you guys soon.